rolling?
How did we crazy?
Oh my gosh.
What do we
it's
do
weird
without
with the
Jake
TV not
here?
being
Oh my gosh,
We're
guys.
rolling?
Hey, welcome to the CorridorCast. Jordan Allen came up to me today and he was like, hey, what's the worst way to die?
Yeah, I walked in this morning and I looked at the stove. We have a stove in the studio, and there was like a nice thick layer of just burnt skin on the stove.
Yep.
And I knew that it belonged to a fish that Nick had eaten previously.
Fish?
I think it was fish or some sort of beast of the land.
Probably bacon.
It was just eggs.
It's eggs.
Like I tossed a whole fish
Oh,
on there. and
well,
left it.
that's a pre-beast of the land. So
Yeah.
regardless, it got me thinking about the brazen bull.
The brazen bull.
Is that what it's called? The brazen bull?
Dude.
Now, this, I don't know too much about history, but Nick is a big history buff. Nick, aka Matt, is a big history buff over here.
We love it.
Yeah, and I got to talking to him about the worst ways to die in history, and it was fascinating. And we decided, why not say that with other people here as well, so that
Yeah, I mean,
I'm down.
everyone can enjoy the horrors.
Jordan says she has some favorite worst ways to die in history, and
Do you actually?
Griffin also knows a lot
do.
about this stuff.
Favorite
Yeah.
as in I would never want it to happen to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
But wow, they came up with this. How cool.
it's horrible to genuinely think that real people, who again were the main character in their own story here, end it that way. That was the end of their script. And it's horrible to think about. Brazen Bull in particular, for some reason, seeing that fish skin on the stove, that stove top. Like, for those of you who don't know, the Brazen Bull basically is this giant metal bowl. I don't know what it's made of.
It was, I
Metal?
think, bronze back in the day. Yeah, it would have been a big
Yeah.
copper bowl.
Big copper bowl.
Yeah.
And they would put people inside of it and then light a fire underneath it
Oh.
until the person died. And if you think about it,
They
it
don't.
honestly is like a stovetop just getting hotter, where your skin would melt
Yeah.
onto the bowl.
Mm.
So
It
at
would
the end
just
of the
boil,
day,
right?
you'd just be a little friggin' gusher, just like a little melted gusher on the side. I don't know. Yeah, that's honestly
Yeah,
a
no,
perfect
it
time
happened. Like
Yeah.
there's records of this. It was like a king in Sicily, in the southern Sicilian city, I think of Acragas. It was like this, all these city states around there, and there were all these kings who came up and were just like, horrible, ruthless
Yeah.
people. They were all fighting over this tiny little, island. And yeah, I forget his name, but this guy who took over the city state decided, let me make this big brazen bowl and start boiling people and cooking people literally alive.
Well,
It's
I think it goes to show that people had way more time on their hands.
Is that what it was?
And honestly, I swear, I think to this day, the only reason we still don't do that to people is because we just don't have that much time.
It's a
Yeah.
time thing.
It's a time
but
thing.
like,
Dude.
I think like for that though, if I was to put myself in his mindset, it would be probably to send a message. Because I mean,
Yeah.
execution was something the state did, and it was like, yo, you better listen to me. I'm your king, or else I'm gonna put you in this bowl and boil you. And the scary thing about that bowl, man, is apparently, the screams of the person being cooked inside echoed through. There's a mouthpiece that was like a horn,
Nice.
apparently, and it would actually like warp the screams into the sound of like a bull, running around, or whatever bulls do. I don't know, what does a bull
I think
say?
they run around, dude.
They just run
Yeah,
around.
what do bulls say?
I think they chill until there's a human in front of it.
It was the bronze bull too. Yeah.
That's what it's called? Bronze
But,
bull?
So the thing is, what's his name while you're Wikipediaing it?
Yeah, I'm on this thing, dude.
We out here.
Dang, son.
So, yep. Valorous, the tyrant of Acragas. That's
Dude,
him.
you're on it.
But apparently, he met his end in the bull.
Oh, that's
Oh.
beautiful.
Isn't that poetic?
That
Isn't
is
that
poetic.
Yeah.
Depends on who you ask.
If you're going to come up with a horrible way to kill your citizens,
Yeah.
you should die that way.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like, if we're going to be telling people about a product, we should be using it ourselves.
It's
you
so
know?
true.
Mhm.
It's so true. Cut to Vessi sponsorship.
Keeps you warm
Yeah.
in the winter.
You can't see it, but AG1 greens.
Yeah,
AG1,
inside,
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it did get me thinking, because obviously, I think we've all seen our fair share of brutal history. But what is on your guys' list of like, because Bronze Bull to me would definitely be up there, but I'm sure there's something worse. So I
There's
open
so
the floor.
many.
I'm curious what
Well,
you guys
here-
have to offer.
Here's the thing with like why they become worse. The whole point was to find methods to torture people that would keep them alive as long as possible. Because that was the game, whether they were trying to get information out of them or not. They just, like I said, they had the time on their hands and they wanted to torture, because the longer you're alive, the more you get tortured. So
Yeah.
that's like the idea of it. So when you're thinking of these how to die, basically the longer that you're alive. There's some that you would last 8 days.
Oh no.
So that one
That's
is
professional.
the impalement one.
What's
the
that?
Oh
Romans.
yeah, dude. Oh my god.
Impalement. I know
Impaling?
everyone. So what about
the
the
worst.
impaling? It's like technically, yeah, if you just went straight through the organs, you could die because of internal bleeding. But people got crafty and knew how to like kind of weave it up the spine.
Yeah.
And you could
around the organs.
Around
It goes
the
up your butt.
organs.
It goes up your butt, by the way.
and you could live for like up to 8 days.
Oh,
Dude, Vlad the
Man.
Impaler, no joke. Like he was a real person.
I've heard of him before.
And he had a big war against the Byzantines. And apparently most of the prisoners and all the people he like, let's say got rid of during all his political coups and stuff, he would impale them. That was his preferred method. And Jordan's absolutely right. It would take days for these people to die because he had impaled so many people, or his impaling team,
his impaling
team.
team.
His people.
His CFO and
exactly.
his...
He had a whole team of these people who were professionals, and they, like Jordan said, like they could get the spike through. You would go through the bottom and then around your organs and up through like your neck here. So it would actually kind of like support your weight, and then they'd put you up.
So it's not like over time. For some reason, I was thinking over time it was like moving up.
They were moving up.
Like you were like sitting on it
I
or
think
something,
they-
and then
I
like,
think the whole
through
idea was they
torture?
wanted them sitting up because it was kind of like a warning of like, we will do this to you too. So they would have them all on the sticks, just like out for the world. to see.
And dude, we are talking thousands of people, dude, would be impaled. There were literal impaling, like, I don't want to say party, but there was like impaling festivals where he would be like, oh, you know what? How about everyone in this room is actually gonna get impaled now? And then they
wait,
and he'd be like, boom, and the
Just
guards come
because?
in.
For
Well, because
funsies.
like, it's like Game of Thrones shit. Like he's worried his political opponents are gonna, turn on him. So he would just get rid of people. Anyway, dude, that is like to me one of the most freaky ideas of just like knowing you're about to get impaled. Like even worse than crucifixion, because I think he got probably inspired by the Romans with the crucifixion. It was a kind of also a stick related exposure death.
Yeah.
They'd put you up, usually nail you. But
nail you through the...
I'd much rather take the nails than the
Dude, the friggin'
log,
spike?
dude. Yeah.
I'm out once that thing...
Yeah, I'd rather do the nails too. But
Once
even
that thing
that
enters
one,
the
you
cheeks,
stay
dude.
up there for so long because you either die of infection or they were saying you're held up by your arms and so your lungs start to collapse. So like you basically start like running out of breath because you can't breathe anymore.
All the blood probably like fills it up.
Oh, I'm looking at pictures now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like the weight of your body against your joints, like over time, slowly, like the stretching of your joints and your ligaments and all that, like eventually just presses more and more on your lungs.
Oh, which
Just
brings me to my next one.
Bring it on.
Oh my gosh.
If I'm up there, give me that fluid.
You said like the stretching of joints. There's this thing called the
Ooh,
rack where
the
you would
rack.
be laid out and your arms would be tied to one end, legs tied to the other one, and they would
just
turn
stretch
it.
They crank you.
The stretcher. Yeah, and you wouldn't technically die. It would just be over time your bones and ligaments are coming apart. So even if they let you go, you wouldn't be able to walk anywhere. You wouldn't be able to do anything because
You
all
just
of
be spaghetti boy.
Mm-hmm. So that was a torture method of like, we want stuff out of, like we want information out of you.
Dude.
Torture's crazy because like it was sanctioned like for most of history by whatever ruling parties, and even like recently, obviously, I mean Guantanamo, right?
Yeah.
But like, yes, it's all about keeping them alive. A good torturer, you can't get too hasty,
Because you also don't want them to like pass out necessarily.
No, yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah. I mean,
You have to get
usually
crafty.
it's to get information. A really screwed up part is though, like a lot of times, like they knew everyone involved knew the person wasn't going to live.
Yeah.
It was just about getting a confession.
Uh-huh.
And like, so I read this book called like Paris, City of Light, City of Poison. And it talks about Paris had like the first, like, kind of police force, honestly, that was like really structured. But they would, get sanctioned to torture criminals. And most of them knew they weren't going to live. They were just like, you should confess now so you go to heaven when
Just
you die.
do it immediately.
Yeah, instead of like go to hell when you die slowly. Like, so it was more of like we'll torture you so you confess so we'll kill you fast.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be tortured anymore, which is really screwed up to think about. That's justice. Right?
Oh, dude. Yeah, back in those days, because there's nothing you could even do about it, too.
No.
Yeah.
And it could all be kept from the public so stinking
Dude,
easily.
I mean, people would just disappear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why not? Like I went to this is not nearly as bad as what we're talking about, but it's still pretty horrific. But I was in the London dungeons when I was out in London visiting family.
Oh, that's where you're from.
That's where I'm from. Yeah. Yeah. We
London
invented this
dungeon.
thing.
Dude,
Actually, my
that's
family.
a good exhibit.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
But there was a hook that they would just basically put up the old back hole, and they'd hoist you up to the ceiling like a bit, and it was like a big rusty metal hook, and they would just hook you from the back and hoist you up to the ceiling, and you're literally hanging from the hook until you confess. They just there's like sitcom music playing on this episode of Seinfeld. Bang, ba-ding, ding, ding.
What's
but yeah,
the
it's like,
deal with
what's the deal with these hooks? But then, of course, England has the rat one that you were telling me about, Nick.
Oh, the rat, dude. I hate the rat.
The
dude.
rat one. This one's famous from
I
Game
hate-
of Thrones.
I hate
Oh,
when
I want to
nature
know
gets
this
involved.
one. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see if I know.
Yeah.
What is it?
Jordan, tell us about the rat.
The rat. Okay.
Well,
It's actually how my grand-
yeah, it's like the
What?
British love doing this.
It's how my great grandfather passed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
He had a heart attack while he was doing this to somebody else. It's common in pub fights to pull out a bucket, a friggin' torch, and a rat.
Now hold still.
Yeah, hold still there, governor.
Oh, still.
But no, essentially it would be, if they want, again, I think it's a torture or just killing thing. But they would put a rat up against your stomach and trap it with a bucket, and then light a fire on the back end of the bucket. And so the rat naturally, not being able to escape any of the metal, would go to the softest part, which is you, and it would burrow through you to get out.
Yeah.
So you got a little
Mhm.
grieber going in there and
You got a
just
little
eating your
guy.
body cheese,
Ooh.
man.
Eating that cheese.
Eating that cheese, eating that sweet
There
cheese.
was another one with rats and stuff, but it was like everything in the ecosystem around you. They would lay them where like their arms and head were out, then cover you with like another wooden boat. So you'd be in a boat and then another wooden
Oh,
boat.
yeah.
They would forcefully put honey and like milk in you, whatever. Yeah, and then fill you up. Make sure your stomach's all nice and full,
Freaking
and then you'd start like
buffet.
expelling gas, and all the
Yep.
little critters would just start coming and gnawing on you, and then you're expelling more gas. So then that's when like the worms start coming.
The worms.
Yeah, like
Those
worms.
swimming
They
worms.
come up to you.
But no, you're not.
They'll
You're not
find
even
you.
in the. You're not even in the.
Oh, you just put you in a boat.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
not even in the
wow.
water yet.
This is
They
dry
put you
boat?
in the water after you die, but
Holy
you just
moly.
kind of go
Mhm.
days with the ecosystem
That's-
kind
That's
of
on. I
feeding
mean,
off
exposure
of you.
and insects. That's like the worst
Yeah.
way to die. Being eaten alive.
Because
Oh
think
my
about the
gosh.
sensation of everything on your body.
Paper cuts
Being-
hurt worse than bigger cuts sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, that many tiny little cuts.
Do you know the feeling when like you're like, oh, something's crawling on me, like an ant?
Yeah.
So imagine that times like 1,000,000, I
Oh,
guess.
dude, I don't even want to.
I think it'd be quite literally 1,000,000.
And then there's something like gnawing on you.
And then it's in you. And
Stuff
it's
going
and you feel it, and you
inside.
feel it
Oh.
like tickling up your throat, biting.
And it's just whenever your body decides
Happy
to
Halloween, everyone.
die.
Happy Halloween. Yeah, legit. This is totally a Halloween episode.
Hey Griffin,
Yeah.
what's your biggest like fear in terms of dying? Like
Mm.
Ooh.
what chills your blood when you think about it?
Well, I'm not a big fan of this. First of all, I'm not a big fan of this one that I just found related to the rats. There was this Roman rich dude, just this total meanie who would like just apparently like throw people into a big pit of eels and they would eat them alive,
Ew.
which is another fun way to get creative with, animals.
Eels, I
But
never thought about those.
Never thought about it.
dude, honestly, I think like
The hunger.
my it's kind of a tie between being mauled by a
Mm.
predator and drowning. I think drowning is maybe
Mm.
one of the scariest deaths. And
Mm.
I would agree.
I agree with you. Dude,
It goes so kind of fast though compared to other ways to die,
It
right?
does, and I heard it's peaceful.
did
Yeah.
you guys
Getting
But
mauled?
no one, no.
I think it's because it's like your airway, like everything's getting blocked. So it's
Oh,
like
dude.
at some point there's not even like a like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it's like the moment of realization of like, oh,
Yeah.
there's no more air, and then it's like that 10 seconds must really, really, really suck.
Yeah, the
Um,
panic.
dude. Did you see 13 Lives? It's about the.
Oh,
the-
yes. That was good.
dude. Really good
That was
movie.
a great film.
If anyone's looking for just a banger of a movie to watch, watch
Yeah.
13 Lives. It is
Yeah.
so good. It's a real life superhero movie.
And so under the radar.
So
I
under the
totally missed
radar.
it,
It's,
yeah.
amazing. But there's a freaking like spoiler. There's a drowning scene in that movie, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But it's such a good movie.
It's so realistic too, and it's like there's also no spoilers. There's a dude who almost drowns. Yeah, that is a spoiler though. Sorry.
I mean, I would imagine.
it shows the panic that sets in, right? And like how you just stop thinking.
Yeah.
And for me, there are my two by far biggest fear ways to go is cave exploring like cave crawling, those guys.
Like
Yeah.
a mine or something
Yeah.
that collapses and you're just
Yeah,
Stuck in
Is
there.
it? There was.
Gosh.
I don't know if it's still up, but the Internet Historian did a
Oh,
video
yes.
on a kid who was exploring caves and got stuck. And I think it was like a 3-day ordeal. And eventually, I won't.
Because you have to
just watch
time it perfectly for like high tide, and like that's when you can get
Well,
in and out.
Yeah.
That one's
Ugh.
just the actual cave exploring, like above ground caves. Like you get stuck upside down. I've had dreams of this, man, where you get
What?
stuck upside down. And you're trying to crawl through a gap that's too small, and the rock shifts a little bit, and you can't get back out. Pitch black. You're all alone. You're just stuck underground,
because
like a
you've
mile underground.
moved.
Because you've scraped your way like through all these gaps where you have to inhale just to get through, and then you can't get back out.
Yeah, like
That's
what's
an
that one?
absolute-
hate that.
Ted the Caver? No, Ted the Caver is a fake one. but-
Yeah, and then the other one is basically that underwater. It's what 13 Lives is about. 13 Lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
where it's the underground cave diving.
that stuff.
And people
freaks
do
me
that for
out,
fun.
dude. Oh my
And
God.
like you're totally
Mhm.
underwater. You have a mask. There's like almost no visibility, so they have a line that you have to hold on to. If you get separated from the line, or you see somebody else get separated from the line, the rule is you do not go after them. You do not
Mhm.
leave the line, because if they start freaking out and they kick up like the sediment or whatever, and your visibility goes to zero,
Yeah.
there's a very high chance that you die as well.
Yeah, I truly believe that there's like certain activities that should only be left to like highly experienced professionals,
Mm.
because even they die.
Even they die.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that you can just buy a $250 ticket to go do these type of things kind of
Crazy.
freaks me out.
I will
Well,
never do that after
never.
seeing 13 Lives. I will never.
It's
Never.
really, really sad too how many stories there are of people going cave diving, and like it's one of those activities where there's like literally more ways for it to kill you than not.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And like so many of these stories you can look up on YouTube or whatever of people going out and doing that, and they're being like just dying because there's a sign that's like, do not go further if you're not an experienced cave diver, and they do it anyway.
Mhm.
Or like going off the line, or being like, oh, I don't need special mix even though I'm going 300 meters down. Like
Yep.
there's even stories of like you were saying, like people going down, like not paying attention to those warnings, dying, and then like the pro like retrieval driver, like the pro retrieval divers dying trying to get them back. Like
Yep.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
That- yeah.
Did you guys what is that movie with the Meg, the whale
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
Jason
Meg.
Statham?
You see the whale movie?
No, the
The
shark
Meg, about
movie.
shark. Yeah.
I mean, it kind
Shark
of is a whale.
movie.
It's big enough.
But it's like even he was the most experienced person to
Mhm,
go
yeah.
like underwater, and even he had issues. So it's like,
Couldn't beat that shark.
That was a biopic, by the way. True story. Crazy.
really? It's
Yeah.
based off a true story?
No.
Oh,
Based on the
I
life of
wish,
Jason
dude.
Statham.
I mean, it might be.
the Meg 2 came out.
Oh,
by
did
the
it?
way.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's going to be a sequel to anything like that. That's all. A movie like that will always have a sequel. That's the guarantee.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
really?
everyone was like, this movie's rocks.
Any like giant monster thing. He's
I mean,
gonna have a
I'm
sequel.
down. Just have fun with it.
Dude,
but-
yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
man.
more about like maybe air activities because we're way more experienced in the air.
Well, that's also one of my fears is like freaking airplane crash, dude. Like,
Oh, that would suck.
I would probably be one of those people freaking out in those videos where it's like, we
Of
thought the plane
course.
was going to go down.
Of
Like,
course.
you're going to be all
Oh.
calm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, because it's the
No.
amount of time. It's like if you die while skydiving, right? I've thought about this. It's like it's scary, but it's about 30 seconds. Like, but when the chute doesn't open, I mean, maybe a minute. I don't know.
It's a while
But
before
then
you get down.
the actual like impact, it's over. It's like
Mhm.
it's done immediately. Your brain probably wouldn't even register.
That's how I want it.
Maybe.
Give me that quick, like, surprise death.
yeah, like I don't even know what's
Wow.
happening, and then it's done.
Give me that Titan sub, like, flat
Oh
ham.
yeah, that's like
seriously,
0.006 seconds or
I-
something.
take me
compressed
down
to
there
dust.
when it's time. Just,
Yeah, just compressed.
Yeah.
yeah, go.
TNT.
But yeah, in the plane, like the thing that freaks me out about the planes is like, especially over water, it's like if it hits and you make it, only to then be in a sinking metal container
Oh, God.
with hundreds of other people who are clawing to get out.
Oh,
That
that's
might be the most
worst
horrific
part.
thing. Yeah, because no one in the
Mhm.
exit row knows how to work it.
No.
I've sat there and I didn't know how to work it.
You just give the verbal yes,
Be
but
real.
it's
yeah,
like
they just basically ask you, please say yes. And you say yes. And they say, okay, great.
I thought you're just the
I
one
know.
who gets to exit.
it kind of is that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
I've only
yeah,
been in a
like-
few plane crashes.
How
Nice.
many stories are there of like surviving a sinking ship or a plane crash, and then just like, dope, we're in an inflatable raft for 3 weeks and the sharks are coming, like we can see them, and we know that like we're just gonna like die of sunburn or dehydration.
Because why is it
Like-
that they can never find people either?
Ocean's
like,
big, dude.
they went off the radar.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
think it would be a
what?
little easier to.
Ocean's
yeah.
big, bro.
Ocean is pretty
Ocean's
big.
big.
I feel
It's
like if they
pretty
wanted
big.
to find us, they would.
Yeah. If they wanted to find us, they would.
You should tell
Just-
them that. Hey, FAA, we are tweeting at you right now.
Yeah.
You don't
What
want me.
was
You
the-
don't want me bad
There
enough.
was a documentary about an airplane crash. It was called like it was the plane that number, your flight number.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's labeled that, and they just disappeared. Never
Gone.
found.
Bermuda
like not
Triangle
even
stuff,
it's
or
kind of.
gosh.
They
Dude.
went off the radar, and no one knows where they are. No remains or anything. No bodies, no anything.
But I mean, think about like, have you ever tried to find a friend who just like has their phone turned off?
I'm good at
Like,
it.
you know that they're like, you're at the fair or something
Mm.
and they're being, all present and their phone's on do not disturb and you really need to find them. Like, that's a task, but like the Pacific is pretty big. And once that plane goes down and they're in that raft and they're like drifting and they're floating and they're paddling, like,
But I mean, we have satellites.
Now we do.
Now we do.
But like, dude,
Now we do.
have you guys heard about the USS Indianapolis?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, the worst
What?
shark attack in history.
What?
That we have
What
documented. That we have documented. I'm sure there were some big ass shark attacks back in the day when everyone fought on boats more.
Dang, when the megalodon
But
was
dude,
rocking.
Is
This
the
is
U.S.
World War II.
Indianapolis? Is this a boat?
Yeah. So in World War II, it's this huge U.S. Navy boat that got hit by a Japanese torpedo.
Oh.
And there were like 1,000 something people, and like I think 900 of them like lived through the big ass explosion that went up when the torpedo hit.
Mm.
And then they're just floating there in the ocean. 900 sailors, and like I think like a couple hundred survived. And
Wait,
they
out
were
of
literally
900?
slowly eaten alive by sharks as they floated in the water. The sharks would, pick them off one by
Oh
one.
my gosh.
And no, like, and
I
there were
thought
survivors.
sharks didn't like the taste of humans.
No, they do. Yeah, if there's blood in the water and there's
I mean,
wounded
if you're
people
hungry-
and there's corpses
humans don't
and
really
you're out
like
in the
taste
middle of the
humans.
ocean,
Yeah.
we've found out that they do like the taste of humans because
Whoa.
like hundreds and hundreds of sailors got
One
eaten
by
alive.
one. Can you imagine
Dude.
how horrific? And you just know where to go.
Just waiting until
There's
it's your
nowhere to
turn.
go. You're a bobbing apple.
Dude.
Legit. You're just waiting. Like there was a kid who was recently attacked in Egypt by a shark.
Really?
And he was like not that far off the shoreline.
Here, I'm gonna.
So that's still a thing that
Attacked,
happens.
so like he lived.
oh no.
There's a video of it. It's
Okay, so
Don't look it up.
it says here that the animals apparently were drawn by the sound of the explosions and the sinking of the ship and all the blood. Yeah, so like there was probably a lot of casualties.
I'll
So
s-
all that blood, they say blood attracts sharks, and it does.
my dad and I for one
Frick.
of his birthdays, we went shark diving together
No
Oh,
way.
that's so
with
sick.
Wait, really?
with great whites, right? Like the goal
In the
is to-
cage?
yeah, definitely in a cage. But the goal is to see one. And where we were, they hadn't seen a great white in, I think it was like 5 days or something like that.
Mhm.
So we kind of didn't have our hopes up. And of the multiple ships that were out there just trying to find anything, we threw a foam seal, like the shape of a seal, out on the water. And like an hour into our voyage, and I wasn't scared of the ocean before this, mind you, but out of the darkness, just this mouth ascends out of nowhere and chomps the thing clean in half. And it was, these things get up to like, I
Ugh.
think 20 feet or 22 feet or something, great whites.
Unless you're talking about
This
the
one
Meg.
was
Chomp
13
them?
feet and it looked humongous.
Dang,
And I'm like,
dude.
that alone, and the violence that it did it with, and then everyone like hopped in the cage and the cage lowered into the water and it like rammed the cage once. And it's like the
Sounds so fun.
violence and speed because they can sense, and I might botch this, so anyone who works with sharks, apologies, but they can sense you in the water. They essentially sense your electromagnetic energy or something.
Well, because how they can
and can
sense
your
fear.
Yeah. They sense your fear from a very long way away.
Yeah.
And so if you're even in the water and are scared, they will know your prey and just be curious. And they might just take a curiosity bite. And if they don't want it, they'll leave it. But guess what? That's still your leg. And it's now gone. So if that happened with all these sailors, and it's like, oh, look at all these like mince pies floating on the
Bro.
surface. One by one, it's like, hey, it's better
It's
than
like the
nothing.
most terrifying thing.
I
man.
really like
Defenseless,
the
you know?
ocean though, because I'm like big on. I see dolphins, I jump in, and I.
and you love that part of the ocean. What
I
about like
just-
the depths? What about
but that's out
what do they
deep. Like
call
we
them?
were like just
Claustrophobia?
on a sailboat, like just going from like Santa Monica up to Malibu. We're like far out.
I
And
love
we
being
just
over the
jump
ocean.
in. It's like, it's so deep that it's like it's just cold and dark.
And it
Yeah.
just boom.
That freaks me out.
But I've
dude.
never thought about sharks for some reason.
They're worth thinking
What we're
about.
thinking about.
Yeah, they're worth thinking about, not dwelling too hard on, because they're not usually going to f with you.
Yeah,
But
and
Usually-
shark attacks aren't very.
Do you think they're
very
becoming
common.
more common? Or are we just hearing about them more?
I don't think they're that common. I really don't think they're that common.
Okay.
And most sharks seem quite friendly. Like on another trip with my dad, I gotta stop going out with my dad. We did another shark thing. He stayed in the boat because he's intelligent, and I got in because the guide there said that it's okay to do, which I don't know you.
the shark
And
was
we're in
too
a foreign
friendly.
See,
country.
this is what I mean. Even the experts are idiots.
Yeah, and he's just like, no, it's chill. You can go in, and I'm like, okay, we just met, and this is crazy, but yeah, just hop on in, and you know won't
See
die
what
maybe.
happens.
So so I jumped in, and he started throwing chum in the water.
Shut the fuck up.
And these sharks were
Yeah.
quite big. Like, I'm not exaggerating. They were like more than my wingspan.
You got a cage, right?
No,
Oh.
free. And I was on the other side of the boat, like ducking my head over it, seeing them all like mash on this chum. And then he says you can go around to the other side. And I trust this guy because I met him just now.
And he's not
So-
in the water with you. He's just like
No,
up there saying,
he's
"Oh
up
yeah,
there.
yeah, go over."
Yeah, and we're
yeah."
just there's no authorities.
And even your
in
dad's
our
like, "I'm
vicinity."
good on that."
Yeah, it's
And
like
you're
I'm
like,
good.
"Okay."
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
And I joined them on the other side of the boat just to get as close as possible to them, just like eating this food. And they're so strong and chaotic.
Yeah.
And dude, one of the scariest moments of my life, I like turn around. I have these little goggles on and I turn around and I look, and out of the blue, it's the biggest one of the lot. And it's just coming swimming directly for me. And I like get so meek and I press myself up against the bottom of the boat like this. I'm just pressed against the bottom, like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like when the Nazguls are walking by, and I feel it on my back, dude. It presses and slimes against my back, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I crawl back up in the boat immediately. But yeah,
So
they
what-
didn't eat me, they ate the chum.
You thought that was a good.
It didn't go as planned. I didn't plan for that.
Well, what kind of shark? You said like this long. Were they like black tip reef sharks?
Yeah.
I really,
or-
and I'm so mad
Hammerhead.
because I don't remember the name of them. And I don't remember what kind of sharks they were, but I think they're just friendly sharks. They're not that into humans.
Hmm.
It's not like a tiger shark or anything. Like, I think those are the really dangerous ones. But
Imagine
yeah.
if they had been though.
Oh, dude. And that's the thing is like I didn't know and I got in anyway. I'm a
Yeah.
ding dong. Like what a way to go. That's one
Well,
of my
no
you know,
one. You would have just gotten clowned on Instagram.
yeah, because definitely my dad would have posted about it for sure.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
would have
yeah.
logged into my Instagram and go, my son got eaten because he's an idiot.
It would have made its way to Instagram some way, somehow.
Yeah, gosh, that's what you think
Check out
about
this kid. Check out this kid in 2005.
Oh,
God.
yeah, what a
Shark.
nerd.
Dude, you would have been on Tosh.0. That's crazy.
Yeah, Tosh.0.
Dude, that's definitely the worst part. Yeah.
Griffin, have you seen Grizzly Man?
Oh, so good.
The movie or
Yeah,
Or
the
just a
documentary.
Grizzly Man.
Wait,
Lots
is
of
it
Grizzly Men around
documentary?
this
I've
place.
seen a man, Grizzly Man. I
I
swear
mean,
he's a real.
because I know Grizzly Man who like hangs out around like
Yeah.
the corner of Santa Fe. And,
Okay,
like,
yeah, a Grizzly Man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, have you seen?
I'm
There's like
looking.
this documentary about this man who apparently befriended bear. Yeah, quotes.
Oh
Look,
yeah. Him
To
with
all
his friend.
involved, it was pretty apparent he had befriended bears until it was apparent that he hadn't.
Yeah.
And they show that in the movie, and it's like, I'm still scarred from like middle school when they wheeled in that fucking TV and showed us that movie.
They showed you the end too?
Yeah, they didn't tell me there were screams of people dying and being eaten alive, dude. You
It-
hear it.
Mhm.
Because he's
It's
documenting
insane.
everything. And it's like
What?
it eventually him and his wife or girlfriend
Don't.
are in their tent and they're just recording audio, or was it video as well? I can't remember.
There's a video. I'm not sure. Well, they edited it in the documentary, I believe, to video. I'm not sure if the video was taken at the same
Yeah.
time. I don't. It's been a long time. I haven't watched the movie again. I don't
Yeah.
want to.
I don't want to either.
It's like so
Because
dark.
it breaks my heart because he loves these bears so
Yeah,
much.
Yeah.
And he's just asleep in his tent and one of them just goes in and just
It's a hard
enjoys
winter.
a midnight snack, man.
Mm.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that really just demonstrates what a like foolish thing it is to think that you can be friends
Yeah.
with an apex predator like that,
Mhm.
or to anthropomorphize
Mhm.
other kinds of animals and like attribute qualities to them that they do not have, because like
Mhm.
Totally.
and I'm not saying he deserved anything. I'm not
No,
saying
sure.
that like, oh, that's what you get, but it's kind of like
I do think
They're-
it's just
they're
like it's
bears,
human
man.
nature
bears.
that humans always want to like think that we have control.
Mhm.
When it's like we came after
Like,
all of these.
I'm special. Like
animals.
this animal loves me.
Yeah,
'cause
when
I'm
it
his
comes
friend. It's
to
like, no.
water, and it's like no, a tsunami is going to be more powerful. Or air, like just like we think we're more powerful than anything else, and we're just idiots.
That's why I really loved the movie Nope, because that's the theme of the whole movie is like, you can't, like these are predators. Like, you
Yeah.
can't-
Yeah.
like the whole theme of the film is you can't tame a predator.
Gosh. Yeah, my wife Adrienne loves bears, dude. Like she's
Tell
like,
her to
they're
stay
so
away.
cute.
I
Like
know,
this,
they are.
and I'm like, they will literally eat you starting at the stomach.
Yeah.
Like they'll just start at the stomach and they'll ignore the agony because they don't care at all. Yeah, and that's the way with a lot of different stuff. And yeah, it's kind of like it's the main character energy that like a lot of us can easily fall into, where it's like, well, no, I'm different. Like, and that's what this guy kind of viewed himself as. Is like he's the one who's going to bridge the gap between bear and man.
Yeah, but it's like people who do like cults and stuff. Like they think that they're like
Totally.
more powerful than other people. It's like animals don't do that. Like they quite literally stay in their lane. We're like the only, like we like to like pretend that we're these people, or like, oh, I'm Jesus today, or something of the sort.
Jesus today,
or like my cat loves me. It's like, well, you feed it.
Your cat,
Like,
there's a scientific reason behind all of it.
But like, like you die and your cat's gonna eat you in like 3 days.
I'm sorry, my dogs love me. I can't allow this into my brain.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm different, dude. Okay, my dogs love me. Okay,
no, I kid. I mean, they do. There's affection there, but like, the instinct is always stronger than that, like whatever human like connection you think is there.
Do you know what's funny? Like I took a shower this morning. I know, surprise.
Good.
No, and I brought my dog into the bathroom with me, and I shut the door behind me.
You have a dog?
I was dog sitting. So my parents' dogs technically, but we've had them for
torture.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
where's this going?
He's in the bathroom.
Close the door and just
close the door.
Looked at him in the eyes.
I was showering. That's where it ended. And so I was in there and I was just thinking, like, wow, if we were trapped in this room, would he ever turn on me
right now? Yeah.
Like, would he ever turn on me and try to eat me if he got hungry enough? I had this thought this morning. I literally don't know why.
Bro, that's so dark.
Shower thoughts, dude. Am I right?
I do think that like when it comes to house cats and dogs, they are so heavily domesticated over time. It does take more unless they have those triggers. So sometimes you do have your dogs that do have triggers, but there's some that like they're so domesticated.
Most of them are gonna be fine. It's just like they gotta eat.
Yeah.
That's like the scariest shit to me. Is like when I hear about that stuff of like people being found in the apartment
with their dog. You've heard of this?
Well, they're cats. Yeah.
Cats.
But dogs, I'm not sure would eat people. Maybe.
Me neither. I don't think a dog would. I think the dog would
comment
starve.
below if you have experience with this.
Yeah. Have you or a loved one?
It scares me.
Been
I mean,
eaten?
I'm like
you
the
may
most.
Be entitled to
I'm
compensation.
the most like my cat loves me like person ever. So like that freaks me out.
Yeah.
Thinking about that.
Okay, wait.
So much.
So you're saying that you've heard of people who've been eaten by their cats?
If they pass away, and no one finds them, and they can't feed their cats, the cats will feed on them.
Dang. I mean,
as they should, I guess.
Them to, you know.
I guess that is a kind of romantic, or not romantic. It's a poetic thing. It's like,
he is now his human.
Yeah.
I died, and now the cats will eat my meat.
Cats will eat my meat. Is my least favorite sentence of the day.
This is a Halloween podcast. Early Halloween podcast. Yes.
Well, that's the thing is, okay, so we're looking back through history, right?
Chills.
And not only because we're spoiled these days. We're spoiled in how we live. We live better than any king could dream, right? The average person, for the most part.
Some kings had like so many slaves.
Yeah,
that's true. If that's how you
don't
deem
have
good living, that's on my barometer.
Like those kings.
Yeah.
Imagine if you never had to lift a finger.
These are people who would poop down the side of the castle wall.
And that was like luxury.
That was luxury, dude.
That was like a Japanese toilet, right there.
Yeah, if you get like a 6 foot separation from what you created, that's luxury. Yeah. So we just flush it away. Well, most of us.
Yeah.
You know.
It's pretty funny, like seeing, I went to Ghent over the summer, and like there's an amazing castle there, the Gravenstein. And you can literally see the poop hole still. Like,
the hole.
For the kings. Well, like, yeah, but there's still stains. It's not of the poop. It's just
stained
like,
stone.
It's like scum stains, but like, it's just so funny that like any commoner could just look up and be like, there's the king taking the shit.
Yeah.
Like,
but honestly, just walk around downtown and you'll also see that.
Yeah, you see that downtown too. It's very much the same vibe.
If you think about it, like in some cultures, being like overweight or large is a sign of luxury, right? It's like a show off in a way.
Yeah,
it's like, look at the abundance that I have. So too was stained stone. If you had stained stone on your
Stained.
castle, then you know you have a toilet, and it's like that's the flex.
Yes.
The stained stone was more valuable than regular stone, and this is all a lie.
Bring your
So
stones.
don't write this in your history paper.
Yeah, don't please.
You'll get an F.
If you're
was like-
citing this podcast in your paper, you're already getting an F.
Yeah,
You're already failing.
We're screwed up.
Yeah.
Or like the kings and queens, they only wanted to eat white bread, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
peasants ate the brown bread. But
That
really, the brown
grit.
bread was healthier.
Yeah.
It was, except for none of it was healthy because you're eating rocks, which sucked.
Mm.
Little
Because
rocks.
they grind it with freaking millstones, and those stones would freaking. I mean, you're scraping stones against itself all day,
Yeah.
so you're gonna get these little.
The little tiny
Yeah.
sediment.
And that's what that was very high in. That's one of the reasons that people had such bad teeth because they were literally chewing rocks all day.
Oh my gosh.
Also, no dental hygiene. Also, well, a little bit.
That doesn't
but
help.
Not very good.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Don't do it.
Well,
Don't
it's
do it.
different to see like the different cultures. Like, you look at some cultures and they had much better teeth because of their diet.
Totally.
Eat less
like
rocks,
more
yeah.
protein or
Yeah.
herbs and
I mean, probably just not eating bread
Or
in your
rocks,
culture,
yeah.
and by extension, not eating rocks would probably help
Don't
you.
eat-
Yeah.
Going to the dentist and
Try
that's his prescription. He's like, you got to stop eating rocks.
Just stop it.
Just stop.
I mean,
do
yeah,
remember
dude, talking
reading-
about the worst ways to die. I feel like living any time past 200 years ago was like also just
Nightmare.
dying,
Nightmare.
like slowly dying.
We,
All the
we made
times.
it when we created gyms. When you have to go into a room and pretend to survive to stay in shape, like run.
That's so
Just on a freaking on something that even has handles. Like we don't even run. Literally, it's a freaking machine. It's so funny to me watching people fake survive.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The gyms are a thing because we're so like sedentary now.
Yeah.
Like we
Mhm.
don't do anything anymore.
Yeah, your foot is on a bean.
And it's funny because like you do see gyms in history, but it's like, and then you look at like, oh, well, it was the Romans and they were also just as sedentary,
Yeah.
kind of as we were. Like they had these periods of peace and relative luxury if you were living
Yeah.
there and you had
Lots
some
of
money.
stain.
When you look at
Stone.
like the Game of Thrones era, or like the rich people.
yeah, like the medieval times.
Again, do not write your history paper based on this podcast, all right?
Yeah.
Dragons do not
Yeah,
exist.
And
GT
you
or
can quote me
AGT
on that.
after Game of Thrones.
But they will literally be like, let's take a walk around the garden.
The
And like
garden.
that's there because they're just like sitting there and they're like
Oh,
knitting
yeah, that's
something.
fun.
And then they
That's
just
like
they just
going out.
walk and they're just in a
Yeah.
dress.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't know how you guys didn't die of like obesity, but I guess they just didn't have that much food.
Mm.
I don't
No,
know.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like if you go like almost anywhere else in the world but here, and like people like walk a lot, and
Yeah.
they like
Yeah.
don't eat like huge meals all the time, and
Well,
like they,
yeah.
I mean, speaking
Just
of the old bread in
eat good
England,
food.
like that's why they weigh in stone. Like I don't know if you're aware, but it's like, I'm 9 stone. Like that's how they actually measure weight. It's not in pounds or grams
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
It's in stone.
that's what they were
because
talking about,
they-
dude. I lived there for 2 years. They kept talking about rocks, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's I'm however many stone,
Yeah.
and it's because they would eat stones, and you're wondering how many
Yeah.
stones.
That's what I'm. Thank you. Okay, I was wondering. about
Another
that.
lie. Sorry. Last lie. I'm done lying now.
That is not.
But you are
true.
measured in
that's
stone.
That's another lie right
So
there.
how-
You're not done.
How many stone are you?
Yeah.
Let's
How many
see.
stone am I?
Let's
me,
see.
Me 5 stone.
Me 5 stone. All the British
And-
people in the comments are just like cringing so hard right now.
I'm 14.5 stone.
Wow.
It's a lot of stones.
It means I'm like,
So that means I'm like 4 stone.
You rude.
well, now,
But true.
so we're doing weights. Okay, I guess
Yeah.
we're doing weights on this podcast, guys.
14.5 stones. So I just realized someone can look that up, and that's unfortunate that I shared that information. But here we are.
Don't bully Jordan, please.
Oh.
How many stone?
So 7.
7 stone per 100 pounds. Quick math.
So I'm like 11 stone.
Yeah, there you go. But either way, like nowadays we're living easy. Even
Too
the ways that
easy.
we're scared to die, honestly, as brutal as they are
Yeah.
easy.
I mean, at least we got
Yeah.
painkillers, to be honest.
We're
Yeah.
dying because we can do things, right? Like
I
But
love
think
that
about
sentence.
it.
We're dying for living,
I don't
guys.
even know what that
we're like,
means.
oh, a plane was invented, therefore here's another
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We're
way
dying
to
because
die.
we can do things.
Yeah, cars.
It's
like,
our own damn
It's
fault.
our own fault.
Yeah, dude.
There's we can scuba dive because like that's a luxury. If you have time to
can
scuba
scuba
dive,
dive?
if you can scuba dive, that means you're doing pretty okay
You're
in life.
pretty
Yeah.
okay.
Because other
Yeah.
people, like back in the day, they didn't have time to do anything but work and just like try to live and
Yeah.
not get an infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have time to go scuba dive and
Dude.
cave dive and
Yeah.
go chase down bears. They're like, we have enough
Yes.
things on our backs that are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
True, like
Yeah.
you were just trying to fight off death every day
Every
back
day.
there. I mean, whether it was cold, hunger, the common cold, like
People
any
thinking you were a
disease.
witch
Yeah, literally
Name it.
being a woman often would get you killed.
to this day.
Yeah,
Serves
to
them right.
Back when the life expectancy was what, like late 30s,
Yeah.
40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like unironically,
Crazy.
Isn't
Yeah.
that insane?
like all of us would be like elderly.
We would be
people.
elders.
I would have
in
had
the
like
dark
8
ages.
children by now.
Oh, and they would all be elders.
Yeah.
And most of them would have died
yeah.
by
Yeah.
now.
Half
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them
yeah,
would
most
have
of them
been
would have
gone
died.
already.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. We would be the elders in the camp.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I would
That's
be
a
spitting so
scary
much
thought.
like old yarns, you know, just like
Spitting all the
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like you
dude.
don't know. Like the older people were more like on Asian cultures and like Native American cultures, right? Like when you think of like the Disney Channel movies that were made,
with old people.
you never like really saw like old European people because they were
Yeah,
dying.
they locked him up.
Dang.
Well,
That is crazy to think about.
Like,
Right? I don't know. If,
There is
right?
actually, like,
new invention.
there's something to that. Like,
There's
called
something to it.
being old.
well, like apparently, like in Norway or like Viking cultures, some of them they had this like ritual where you'd like kill yourself once you got old to not be a burden.
Oh, to
on
not be
the
a burden.
community.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Like it's kind of interesting. It's like, okay, well, if resources are really, if you're literally living out in the wild, right?
Yeah.
Like
In the snow.
elderly people, I guess, could be taxing and a burden to the community. So they would literally like everyone was cool with it. They're just like, yeah,
If you're a
gonna
burden
jump
to
off this
society,
cliff now.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is my time.
It's like you can't see, you can't cook, you can't do anything. We're just providing resources because you're in a bed.
Yo, if our
Should we
society,
do that now?
well,
Oh,
it
gosh,
kind
that'd
of
be so
kidding.
brutal.
No.
Imagine.
Hot take.
No.
Just kidding.
well, like I do feel like in a way though, it's a bit nicer to be like, hey, you have that option rather than be like, hey, do you want us to like stick you in a retirement facility where
Yeah.
you're like just gonna sit down all day
Jeez.
and stare at a wall?
In some countries, they have the option for euthanasia
Bro,
by
give me the
choice.
cliff, man. I would much
Well,
rather
not
jump off
even
a
the
cliff,
cliff,
than
like-
sit in a room all for like 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was this one crazy case of this person who had like unstoppable pain. It was like this weird nerve thing or
Yeah.
something.
Oof.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get away from it. They just didn't want to live anymore. And in this country, of course, you cannot choose to end your life. And so they went to a different country, and there's like this chamber that you get in, and it like seals up. It's like a glass top, and it basically just puts you to sleep for good.
Yeah,
Aw.
it fills
And
up
I
with
think it's
nitrogen
painless.
gas.
Well, it's
that's what it is.
like if you put a dog down.
Yeah,
Same thing.
kind of similar. So that's a very interesting,
Way to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's if depending on, because again, it's like the same idea of if you have a like a bone cancer or something that's really painful.
Yeah.
Like you just have to ride it out. Like
Well, and
that.
you know, and like the elderly people who have like dementia, but like so far gone that like it's far few in between that they're ever even going to know who they are and who is
Mm.
even coming into the room, but they can't give consent to just
Mhm.
pass away. So
No,
they're
it's
just like
hard,
living in
yeah.
like a state of like fear and like uncertainty constantly.
Yeah, that
It's like at that point, you don't even
mean,
know what's going on.
I think anyone who's listening, like most people have probably had experiences with family members with dementia. I know I have,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
or like illnesses where it just drags on so much. It's like
Yeah.
know the person doesn't want. They're ready to end it,
Mhm.
and it's like no, we can't.
and usually it's only
It's-
for
it's
our
hard
sake,
to watch. Like it's it
right? It's for
literally
the
is
people
only
who
for-
aren't actually sick. We want them
For me,
around
it's-
longer.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that's why it's like these rules are in place because it's to
Yeah.
make us feel good. Meanwhile, it's like if they really, really chose,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad, but I think
That's a
there is a freedom in being able to choose when it's your time to go. And the fact that we don't
100%.
allow that is pretty messed up.
There's
But
another
what else is new?
Well, there's another version of that same story, like that happened in this country where I don't know if it was the exact same disease or whatever, but they eventually ran away and ended their life in a hotel alone because they couldn't do it legally and they didn't get to say goodbye to
Mhm.
anybody. They just ran away so no one was implicated in like assisting them. What a sad, like that's so sad, you know?
it is,
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. But
because I guess it's just like it's labeled a suicide rather than
Yeah.
What would it be labeled? Medically put down.
Assisted suicide.
assisted suicide. Yeah, so that's very much a thing. So
Or as the state considers it, I think just murder.
yeah, it would just
I
be
mean,
murder.
there used to be like even way more stigma against suicide. I mean, all the religious stigma against
Mhm.
suicide was
Yeah.
insane. I mean, there were like certain burial protocols even where if you committed suicide, like God, I
Mm.
forget what it. There was I might be conflating this with a vampire one where they'd like
Oh.
there's like all these weird burial protocols where
It's like, bro, that's Twilight.
dude, there's so many burial protocols. There's one with a bell where like some people ended up getting buried alive, so they started like it was fashionable to start getting a bell installed in your coffin just in case you're buried alive, so you could like
Happens way
People
more
were
times
freaked
than you
out.
think.
Yeah, it used to happen a lot because like people just pass out and like the guy at the morgue would just like, oh yeah, no pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't know what a coma really was, I guess. So
Especially
they're
in
just
day
like,
probably
Pulse in a
times.
coma, though, surely.
I mean,
Um,
if it was low, maybe then.
Yeah.
This happened though enough for people to start putting bells on their graves.
Well, that's another way that I don't want to die.
Yeah, no, being buried alive. Okay, that's actually my worst. way
Oh,
to
let's
die.
get into
It's
it.
New fear unlocked,
bro.
New fear
Okay,
unlocked.
Griffin, did I strike a chord here?
Dude, it is so English to have a little bell and be like, excuse me. I
Excuse
think you've
me,
buried
sir,
me
I'm
alive.
still
Actually
alive.
dead.
Do you mind lifting me out?
I'm quite alive, thank you very much.
Excuse me.
I'd like to come up now. Ding ding. May I come home?
How rude.
Rude.
So, Nick,
Must be mistaken.
let's dive into your deep-seated fears around being buried alive.
They are deep seated, yes. No, dude, it's just the F that, dude. Come on.
Have you had a
Pitch
dream
black.
about it?
No, I just freaking saw Kill Bill and I was like, dang, I hate that. Or
Yeah,
that one
that
movie where
sucks.
they're buried alive the whole time.
Well, there was one. There was
I
one.
didn't watch it. I'm too scared.
Was it the movie called Buried Alive?
Yes.
There was one woman who was excavated. What's the word when they pull him back up?
Excommunicated?
Excommunicated from the coffin.
Excavated.
And they, exhumed.
Yes.
And they opened it up, and basically she was like dead like this, and the entire underside of the coffin was
Bro,
scratched.
that's like mummy shit right there. Like that's so creepy in the mummy when they see the nails of Imhotep. And they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's the nails.
Oh.
He was trying to claw his way out. That might have been the seed actually for me, where I was like
Mm.
just thinking about like
What
clawing
if?
your way out. No one can hear you, and you have days, dude. It takes days to starve.
Well, because
dude.
are you starving or are you running out of oxygen?
A little
I
bit
would think
both
that
at the
would
same
be what it
time.
was.
I hope you
I
don't
think-
have
Carbon dioxide or
Yeah,
something.
I would hope that
Dehydration,
happens fast. How long does that
oxygen.
take?
I don't know. Actually, shoot.
Yeah, you look.
Like, okay, yeah, wait, maybe it actually wouldn't
It
be as bad
actually-
as I think.
It
'cause you
depends
just-
on how
I think
big
it'd be pretty
your
bad.
area is. So if you're
True.
dealing with a coffin, I think legit like you have like 2 days. Because I
2
watched
days?
I
No!
watched like the Law and Order episodes
Oh.
where the criminal has buried their victim alive, and they're like,
Oh.
we only have 16 hours or something like that.
So
Ready? I have the answer. A person can live on the air in a coffin for a little over 5 hours.
oh, thank God.
That's it,
okay,
man.
you know what?
You're done.
Fear
Oh,
gone.
okay,
Fear
so
gone.
that's
I
good.
would-
But a
you die so
coffin
fast.
is much more.
You barely have time to
Do
watch
you-
the extended
Dude,
Lord of the
I'm gonna
Rings
watch
Return of the
Buried
King.
Alive right now.
So here's a pro for Buried Alive. If you're only going to live 5 hours, that means you probably don't have to worry about pee pee poo poo in the, like, you're not going to be.
Yeah.
That's
'cause
the fear.
I was thinking about how if you're in there for 2 days,
Yeah.
it's like you are sitting in this coffin, you are soiling yourself the whole
You're probably
time
so
you're scared.
dehydrated. It's like,
Ooh,
are
and
you
it's
even pooping?
I
and
feel like
peeing?
at that point the soiling is.
No,
just,
I poop when I'm
At
scared.
least you know
Yeah, same.
you got something to do.
Hour one, just
It's like you've been down there for 20 minutes and it's just fully soiled. It's like, what are you doing?
Jordan, it was just a prank.
I thought it was over for me. I just thought it was over.
I mean, because like, a flight from Los Angeles to Chicago, like I probably take 2 bathroom breaks, but if I know that like all I got is those 5 hours and then I don't have to worry about it ever again, I can hold it.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
hold it.
I would try to like
go out
savor
with
it.
some dignity.
Well,
It's like your last, because it feels good to go to the
What do you
bathroom. We all know this, and let's just friggin'
It would
address
be
it.
the
I'm tired
last
of pretending
few-
there's
But then you
not.
have to smell it.
I'm
They
tired of
what?
pretending
Then you
there's
have to
not.
smell it though.
Then you have to smell
Yeah,
it.
but you know what?
They're your last
Everybody
Come
likes
back.
their own recipe.
Yeah, it's it. On the recipe.
last
You know-
gasp was air, and you're smelling your urine.
Gosh.
Yeah.
This is dark. Well, luckily, none of this would actually need to happen because we now know that you'd only survive 5 hours.
You only survive 5 hours.
I think it depends.
That is so
I think
comforting.
You can
I'm
go longer
super
than 5
comforted.
hours.
I'm here for you.
Okay, what if you're just covered like, in a box underground?
In a box underground?
Is
in
it
a
not a
normal box?
coffin?
Well, wait. Well,
No.
it's all the soil that's going to keep the oxygen from getting down there, right? It's
You
not the
talking about
actual.
what kind of soil are you talking about?
You know.
You know what I'm
So
talking about.
here's a curveball for you. Now, I know you like working from home. You know,
Yeah.
I know you like, retreats out to the woods, just like
Totally.
some solitude. What happens if you get in that coffin and you find out you actually really like it?
Hmm.
And then you realize you only have like 4 hours and 50 minutes
Oh,
left, and now
man.
you're really bummed.
Wow.
Oh,
Makes it
so
more
you mean like
valuable.
Good question.
suicide?
No.
No,
Like
I'm
he's
just
still
like, this
being
is like, I feel at home here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're like, you know, the torture is just that. Like,
It's just that I don't have much time left.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty similar to the torture of
this comfy little box.
Yeah, no.
But does he get out of it when he
suppose-
runs
I
out
feel like
of
he's trying to
air?
confess something
Yeah.
in a roundabout way. He's like,
Is
me
there-
too.
I was saving them so they'd be beautiful forever.
Happy Halloween.
So what you're asking, does he get out of the coffin?
Well, I think I did initiate in my mind a sort of montage at that point where I was doing different activities in the box, you know, to make it more memorable.
Building false
rolling
memories.
slightly. I don't know what you can really do. You know,
A montage of the 3 things you can do.
I can scream.
Screaming, rolling, and
I can
soiling.
hit my head on the ceiling.
a little bit ping pong, just back and forth.
Oh, the
probably-
memories we've made.
Some splinters under the
Slow
fingernails.
motion montage.
Yeah, no. I think if I, in that case, that would just be a really sad death instead of a
Yeah.
scared one.
Mhm.
And I'd rather have
I'd
a
rather
sad
have a sad death than a scared one.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a scared one.
Okay, give me one.
I'll
Scared
give you a
ones
scared one.
usually can end like fast though.
I guess so. But like, I'm so comforted by the fact that 5 hours is all I'd have to be in the coffin screaming.
Getting murdered would
Here's-
suck.
well, here's the
murder
thing.
would
Getting
suck.
murdered would
I'm
suck.
sure it does.
I'm on a I'm sure, yeah.
Bro, for me,
It probably does, huh?
it's that moment when you realize, oh, that person's murdering me. Like there's a thing, like it's like if anyone's ever like been in a fight or like had someone like come at them, it's like when you realize like, oh, they're engaging.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like
Mhm.
that, but with
And they
a
could
weapon.
win.
Yeah. Oh,
Holy
God.
shoot, that's scary, dude.
Yeah. Profanity, please.
Holy shit, that's
Thank
scary.
you.
Yes.
No, so I'm on this list of 10 of the worst ways to
Okay,
die.
I think
right?
we a different list.
No.
Okay.
No, I want to list of 10 of the worst ways to die because again, it's like harkening back to how things used to be. Like we're spoiled now. Okay,
Oh,
even our
gosh.
fears are spoiled, which is funny.
Yeah.
But at number 2 on this list, which blows my mind, there's skinned alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how's that two,
flaying,
though?
flaying?
Oh, okay.
Flaying.
So
Well, what's
that flaying, yes, that was a common practice because it was a way they knew how to do it so like nicely. It's the same way
I
if you
hate
I
go,
don't think nicely
I
is the
hate
right.
it.
if you go hunting and you want to get the skin off of
Yep.
a bear, it's the same tactic, but you can keep the person alive. So they would be fully alive still at the end of skinning, and then they would put the skin up on the wall to show other people, do not do this crime.
The time of death could be
That's
anywhere
F.
from a few hours to a few days.
Yeah.
For flaying. But at number 1 on this list, at least, because there's still a bunch that we didn't talk about, like getting buried up to your neck and then ants eating you. Like that's
pretty
one.
rough.
That's a good one.
There's the death by 1,000 cuts is a famous one.
Mm.
I think that's a
Wow.
Chinese.
So what,
torture
you
or
like
death.
die of infection or shock?
They just
Right.
literally a
Speaking
ton
of-
of little cuts, yeah, and eventually you die.
Yeah.
And then there's one that I saw. Was it at the Tower of London or somewhere? I can't
There's some
remember.
good ones at the tower.
But it's like, dude, it's like a pyramid.
oh,
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about? It's long too. So
a
sharp
classic.
edge that goes all the way across, and it just seesaws you from your booty and just cuts you clean in half.
Yeah.
There's
you sit on it.
you sit on it and it slowly cuts through you. Just I don't know if it's the weight of you that cuts or if it moves back and forth.
Is that the one where they like
Like
put
a
weights
cheese
on your
grater?
ankles?
yeah, like
Just
like
over
weights-
time, the
weights
gravity
are a
will
theme.
cut.
Like a cheese grater.
Yeah,
or
in a
something.
way.
Yeah,
I don't know if it
kind of.
moves or not, but if it's not the cheese grater, then literally gravity
It's like a
is
wedge.
cutting you
Yeah, it's
over
a
time
wedge.
in half.
Yeah,
And there's a movie, Bone Tomahawk. I mean,
I've
unless
heard
you're
about that one. Yeah.
dude, they flip a dude upside down, they grab a leg, and they hack, and
That's
they literally rip into pieces.
That's okay.
It honestly is the worst thing I've ever seen on film.
hate it.
It made me physically sick. But none of those are number 1.
What's number one?
Number 1 on this list, which you may agree or disagree, I don't know. It's the Roman candle. Have you heard of this?
No,
You're a big
and I
Roman
love-
history
yeah,
buff.
yeah.
Allow
me
me
about
to
it.
enlighten you. First, the victims were tied and nailed, feels excessive, to tall stakes. Then flammable
Oh.
liquid was poured over them before they were set alight.
Mhm,
The fire started at the feet to prolong the suffering.
mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's not the worst.
That's
I'll
the
take that
worst.
over the
What
booty
the
hole
heck?
wedge.
Seriously.
They're just tied to stakes.
Yeah.
They're not even put up their button out of the shoulders.
They're tied to stakes and nailed.
Getting burned
Oh,
alive
come on.
because they said that people
That's
would
crazy.
end up passing out just from the
Yeah,
heavy smoke.
yeah.
Dude, burned alive.
Or
I feel
from
like it's
shock.
such a cop out death because yes, just like Jordan said, like most people literally pass out after the first
Mhm.
couple seconds. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
that bad.
the
But
No,
being
that is-
cheese grated, fuck that.
Yeah, legit.
that.
Be-
Getting
like,
shish
burned-
kebabbed.
Burned at the stake, that is a like united club,
Yeah.
like luxury, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
compared to that. No.
Yeah.
No, honestly,
They
I
gotta
would
die-
take burned at the stake any day, man. It would suck for a while, but not as long as many of
Yeah.
these things we've talked about.
Yeah, man.
So
And I mean, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So,
yeah,
like,
look at it with the positive light.
for me,
Wait.
dude, switch out number one with the bamboo one.
Oh yeah,
Have you
what's
heard
the
about-
bamboo one?
like-
Tell the.
I just heard there's one like I think it was like an ancient Chinese like torture or execution. They'd like, I mean, there's bamboo everywhere. They
Mm.
would stake you down on the ground and then plant fresh bamboo under you. And in only a couple of days, apparently, it would start growing through the person.
I was like,
Bamboo is sharp.
so strong.
Yeah, it's strong. It grows super fast.
Dude, and it's
Very
and the
resilient.
little
So
sprouts
thick.
they're like sharp, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and it.
Bamboo's
Can
so
you imagine
strong.
that? It's like the rat, but even slower.
You know
imagine being the guy who invented that
that
and just being like, I have
Yeah.
an idea.
You're
who
Very
invented
smart.
planting
Sick
bamboo.
person.
He's like, what have I done?
You think someone accidentally discovered it? Like they fell asleep and then they woke up. They're like, oh god! Oh shit!
A long day of playing the bamboo. I better go to sleep right here.
I'm gonna leave my bamboo right here. Don't move.
Don't move!
Oh no! It actually reminds me of a story, a personal story. Nick, I told
God.
you this one, dude. But in high school, right? But the idea of bamboo growing through you over time is horrific to me.
Anything
And-
through.
Yeah. And in high school, I played basketball, right? And when you play basketball, you know, you're doing a lot of stutter step drills, a lot of stuff that is pushing the front of your toes against your shoes.
Oh no.
And I developed an ingrown toenail, right? Which at the time I didn't know what it was. It didn't mean anything to me. And of course, as a high schooler, I'm not going to seek medical advice. I'm just going to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And so over time, I just got used to limping. I just got
Did
used
you
to it
think
being
your like toe was just going through puberty first?
Yeah,
like it's just
yeah.
getting really big.
Yeah, dude. Oh, it's just changing, man. I don't want to talk about it. Don't look. But it got really sore, like very red. And like, dude, when I say hypersensitive to the touch, anything glazed on it, agony.
Ooh, I
Like
hate
that
it.
sensitive. But I honestly just ignored it, thinking it would take care of itself. You know, the innocence of youth and all. Anyway, I'm going to run to my room one day,
Oh no.
and I take a little bit too wide of a
From
step.
school, you're like, I can't wait to play.
I can't wait to play. And I crush my toe on the door frame.
We've all been
Smack
there.
it right on the corner, right on the same corner. And I literally, my body goes into full shock and I just drop on the ground and I look up and the nail had punctured through the front of my toe.
Sorry, front. So ingrown.
Yes,
Ingrown.
dude.
It grows down.
It
Wait,
grows in. So it's like if you're cutting your
Yeah,
nails,
yeah, yeah.
it grows like it's a little too sharp for the side. So it starts to push into the side of the skin. And then it had gotten so
kept
deep that it had
going.
actually punctured through. And then when I stubbed it, it punctured all the way through. So it split out the end.
Ooh, His toenail.
All
went
right, that's
through.
number one on the list now.
And it is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I'm like, that was a little part of my toe. Can you imagine through the center of your body
Mm.
with bamboo?
Bro.
Like it was, yeah.
I can't. I literally can't. I don't know
So in
It's
what that
impossible to imagine.
Yeah, you
in
can't
high
imagine
school,
it.
I
It's
played
like,
a lot of basketball, and my toe would like cram.
She stepped out for that story and she's saying the same thing. Yes.
Did you
I-
get an
that's-
ingrown toe?
Yeah, ingrown. It was like dying
Well,
fungus.
did it puncture
supposed
through
to
your
be illegal.
toe? Through your foot?
Basically they're like, we need to remove your big toenail. So they put needles in my toe
same surgery.
to
Jeez.
numb me, but the numbing did not work.
Same story.
My screams were heard through the halls.
I feel seen.
Yeah, they removed my whole entire big
This must be
toenail.
Maybe it's a Jordan.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
a
I was
Jordan.
gonna say, yes.
Michael Jordan had the same thing.
And by the
Holy
way,
fan, yes.
prom was like around the corner, so I had 9
like a Thai
toenails
festival?
during prom.
Piram, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prom, yeah.
Oh,
Prom.
Piram.
Prom and Prague. So it was like all the girls were getting their toenails done.
You were getting your toe done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting 9
wrap that shit
painted.
up, dude.
It was
paint it like a Lego face.
it was the worst. And it
sounds
took a while to
horrible.
grow
Dude,
back. It was like a little nub.
That surgery though is no joke. Like they
Because it's not
put
even a surgery.
They put 4 needles. So I immediately went to the
Yeah.
hospital when mine went through the side. Like got to they're like, okay, we're gonna do this right now. They lay me down. The 4 needles that go in, each one hurts worse than the other.
Yeah.
And I made a joke to him at the end. I was like, good Lord, man, it felt like it was hitting bone. And he's like, it was. Like they're injecting into your toe and it's literally
Yeah.
tapping the bone of your toe.
But mine didn't numb it.
Mine didn't numb it enough.
No.
And they didn't take my whole toe. They took a knife and they severed the Griffin's done. Sorry, everybody. They took they severed the connection with a scalpel of the nail to the bed. And then they took a clamp. They took a clamp and cracked it down the middle with like a nutcracker, dude. And they took half of it.
Frick,
I hate it,
son.
dude. I hate it.
Wait,
But it's
so-
not the Roman candle.
Wait,
So I'm positive.
did I get this wrong? Did you say, so you have half of a big toe?
They didn't take the toe.
Okay.
They left the
Toenail.
toe. Yeah. And Param was right around the corner.
Param
Piram.
was next to me.
Param was right around the corner.
My toenail's back and nice, but I always still have issues with that toenail. Like it
Yeah.
always wants to get a little discolored or like a
Mhm.
little bit of like fungus.
We've all
A little bit
noticed.
thick. Like
Yeah.
when your nail kind of gets a growth and it gets all thick.
Yes,
in
it's
one
like
part.
thicker at the
Thick.
end.
Extra strong,
It's
dude.
always this
me?
guy.
Extra strength Tylenol.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, dang, dude, you're getting too thick. You're supposed to grow out, not up.
Yeah.
Like, I have one nail that's just like
Goes
that.
up.
But you'll be happy to hear that nail stuff was actually torture. It was a common torture to stick shit in between
Oh,
nails.
no,
And we all know that feeling.
Stop it,
Like
dude.
when you cut your nail too close, sometimes it takes a couple
It's
days
making me cringe.
of just
man.
pain. But like
I mean, you ever had a hangnail?
yeah, exactly. And it's like the simplest thing. I mean, you don't need any
Yeah.
hardware for it.
Poking
Oh.
down.
Yeah.
Literally, just taking a thing and
Oh, dude,
Sure.
that was a very
Yeah.
popular one.
If
Yeah.
you- if
why
you've
does that one
ever-
hurt extra bad?
It's everyman's torture, you know?
that one I can empathize with.
I feel like sometimes if you've ever like reached into like a pile of hay or straw or like into
Oh.
grass and a blade of grass just
Bro.
like perfectly lines up and goes like a quarter millimeter under your nail, like
Yeah.
that sucks by itself. So
Yeah.
I just
Stubbing
thought of
or-
one.
yeah.
Imagine
Ugh.
taking like I don't know, some type of nail and a hammer and like going on your bone and like that was a way of torturing. It was someone just hammering
cracking.
all of your
he's
bones.
gonna hammer and nail his bone.
He's gonna turn my bone.
But imagine that feeling. But it goes up your nerves and like up your spinal cord.
Nah, dude.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want
You
to.
know when you go to the
that was a thing actually. Like breaking every bone was a very common one. In the
Tooth
medieval
play?
times.
People enjoy it. Wasn't, I'm telling you, it wasn't about getting information. Not that many people had information to give. Like they were
Yeah.
just like peasants.
No,
or-
it was about sending a message for sure. The ordeal, the wheel was a big one.
The wheel?
Or,
Yes.
sorry,
Oh
not
my
the,
God.
It was breaking on the wheel because they'd literally tie you to wagon wheel.
and then they turn it and then you just
Ugh.
Well, they
Conform.
break the executioner would, and this was reserved for like this was the worst punishment there was, and people were super scared of it for good reason. You know, that's like this was for like the child murderers or the people who forged currency, which was actually like
Feels
one of
like
the
a-
worst crimes you could do back then
Hmm.
because it was like sanctioned by the king
Sure.
and God, whatever. But
it's always about
so,
money.
so those people would get broken on the wheel, and they would, you know, usually, sometimes they'd half hang you if you're lucky, but they'd tie you to a wheel, big wagon wheel, right? And then the executioner comes around with a club and proceeds to break all your bones, like every one except for your head. Well, maybe the head, but
Oh, that.
I don't think they do that because they want to keep you alive. Right?
Oh.
And they turn you into a little jiggly, wiggly guy on there, and then
Jello
yeah,
shots, man.
and then it seems like the common theme is stick them up on a pole and let them just hang
Yeah.
there. 'Cause
yeah, that's where
what
the
they did.
creativity ends. It's like
Really,
do
yeah,
the
it's
pole
like-
thing,
See,
I guess.
I saw a different one on the
Oh,
wheel.
yeah?
They like
Okay.
attached them to the wheel and then they turned the wheel so that your legs and your arms
Ooh.
would just start going
That's probably one too.
in all of them. So
Yeah.
just imagine your bones are just cracking as you
Fun.
like turn around inside of a wheel. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you like
sounds horrible.
put your like legs all throughout a
Oh,
wheel.
like the spokes
the
of the
most
wheel. yeah.
understated.
the spokes
like,
of a wheel,
"Ah,
yeah.
that sucks, man.
Ah,
Sorry,
Yeah.
dude. That's rough.
shit.
you know what's pretty like up there with a lot of these is like, you know, it's a different genre of horrific death, but like a lot of industrial accidents are kind of in the same vein.
Oh,
like
yeah. Dude, degloving
degloving, hearing stories about
Stop it.
people
What's that?
getting
when the skin just comes off.
don't
when you-
Google it.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
It's like often what happens, like say like you get your wedding ring stuck in a machine, right? And it tears from the ring. Yes, careful, Jordan. You might wanna take that off.
gonna hold
It tears the ring and all your skin off with it, and you just get a little bone and some meat.
Have you ever eaten a chicken leg?
It's kind of like.
Have you ever eaten a chicken leg?
It's like when you
You pull the skin off the foot. It does that with your hand. It pulls all the skin off like a glove, like it's
Yeah, it
degloving your
doesn't-
hand.
It's not just
Why?
gloves, it
Because
can
you
be
were
any-
touching chemicals?
No,
No,
because
no,
like
it just gets caught.
it's
and
like a
then-
mechanical accident. It gets like stuck in like a gear, and it like pulls your freaking skin off.
dude, that's
Yeah.
brutal.
Well, the coal miners, but they kind of died like over time. Why is that funny?
It's like not even correlated at all.
Well, I mean,
Degloving. Yeah, the coal miners.
I would not want to be one of them. Either,
No.
so I agree
No,
with that.
it's the
yeah.
machines that
Oh,
the ones
God.
that crush stuff, or
Yeah.
like
Ugh.
or like the
I mean,
grinders.
maybe the coal crusher.
Mhm.
You know, once you get like hooked in it,
They
it
didn't
pulls you in
die in
that
the
kind of
mines.
stuff.
Well,
the-
That's
here's-
what that might be the worst in the world.
Here's one
Cave-ins
that like
and
really
stuff.
messes me up.
Yeah.
There was a I cannot I should probably just look it up to not be lazy, but there was this crew that was working on a like part of an oil rig. I believe it was like one of the pipelines that brings the crude like up to the rig, and they had to go in to this weird diving bell that they had to put over the top of this pipe section to take the end off. And then, there's like a plug that they had to let go of, like they had to release so that they could kind of get in there and like,
Fiddle around.
fiddle some stuff up. So they're in this submerged diving bell, which if you're listening and you don't know what a diving bell is, it's just take a cup underwater, from the surface and push down so there's air trapped in there. And that's pretty much it. It's just an artificial bubble of air so that, the maintenance divers could work without, having to wear a mask and a respirator.
Oh.
And so these guys, they get down there and it horrifically, this is captured on GoPro footage, but I believe it was 4 or 6 men were down there and they're in the diving bell. They're working on it. They release the cap, they release the plug, and something happens. If you're interested, you can look more into this, but in a fraction of a second, a like pressure differential caused a vacuum that instantly sucked like all 6 of these men down this tube, and like
How big is the tube?
100, I think it was like 36 inches across, maybe
Down into the depths?
down. Yeah, it sucked them like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet down this tube. And unfortunately, sadly, only one of the men was able to escape.
How?
How did he
How do you even
escape?
How the
escape?
heck did he
It
Did
is-
he like hold on to something?
No. So like they ended up trapped in this pipeline, and they are completely disoriented. They have no idea at what point in this massive pipeline they are. But it is like an L-shaped or like a U-shaped pipeline.
So they all survived getting sucked through for a while.
they-
Like they were.
Yeah, no, they all survived. Some of them were horrifically injured.
Well, if you get
But-
sucked and it like breaks your back.
Yeah, because you like hit a.
This is
Oh.
Mario.
Yeah.
Dude. This is what Mario.
But
This is
like
Mario's Warden sword.
it's basically
horrible.
like a couple of the least injured, like the people closer to one end, they picked a direction because they were like, we're either crawling the exact opposite direction and we will die down here, or
so
we're
50-50.
crawling closer to the entrance, and they just had to like shimmy and just like crawl, and only one guy was able to make it out,
Me,
unfortunately.
dude. No, thank you. That might be the worst one.
What's
Frick
this
me.
called? The oil rig of 20.
Let me look it up really quick. Mr. Ballin did a really good episode on it.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, dude,
I
that
will
stuff
find,
freaks me
yeah.
out. Getting like pulled into voids is one of the scariest thing. Like just there's like that video of the guy, this sewage worker who got sucked into a water
I
sewer
saw
main,
that. I saw
and
that.
he just
Gone.
passed away, dude.
Gone.
Like it was so quick.
Here we
But
go.
where do they go?
It is
He
the
just
pariah
drowned
diving
down there.
disaster.
The what?
The pariah diving disaster.
It's a video on YouTube.
Yeah, you can look it up. Yes.
Do I want
Yeah.
to? I
Stuff's
I
dark,
kind of want to
man.
watch it, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
If
was
you want like
hoping-
the real facts that are not like kind of miss.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
sure
doing
I
an
got a
actual
lot
history
wrong, but
paper.
yeah, it's messed up.
I was-
Industrial accidents are messed up.
I was really hoping that this would be therapeutic, like we'd work our way through this, and then this has just awoken so many more fears for me.
Really? It actually kind of put
Oh.
some to bed for me. The whole
Well-
the whole die in 5 hours being buried alive.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
If there's a silver lining to take away, guys, it's that if you get buried alive, you'll die in 5 hours.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's
Not
just all
days.
dwell on that. That positive.
I'll take a gunshot.
Glass half full.
I'll take
I mean,
gunshot.
yeah, maybe.
Crazy. I'll just take a full life dying in my sleep, please.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh
like to
yeah,
order that.
inject me.
Oh, you're still
Inject me.
choosing not okay? Because I just said die in your sleep, natural. You still want the injection?
Well, because here's the thing: if you're gonna get injected, you kind of know when it's happening. You'll
So
see
you
your
want
goodbyes.
you want the power of choice?
Yeah,
Yeah, I respect
I
that.
think yeah. I don't know if I want to choose when I die.
I don't
'Cause
know.
think
It's
I ever
hard.
could choose.
That's a whole
I don't
other
think I'd ever be done.
podcast.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
like one more
super
day.
good not dying right now, and I don't see that changing. But if it does, I'm down to be flexible. But what kind of matters right now?
Are you
is,
free
like,
Wednesdays
just
at
give me
5
a,
p.m.?
yeah. Give me a really comfy coffin, and I'll just have the
Dude.
best
Our
5
next
hours.
appointment's next Tuesday. Can you hold off?
The takeaway from me here is all these horrific things have happened throughout history. They're not happening to us right now.
Yeah.
Let's be grateful for the moments that we have and enjoy this Halloween together with the ones that we love.
And don't go cave diving.
And don't stay away from caves just overall. Bad idea.
My quick takeaway is that all these horrible deaths must have created some really fucked up ghosts, and they're still out there, and they could be in your closet. So happy Halloween.
Let's get to hunting.
Yeah.
You know, someone's got to do it. What's your takeaway?
Final thoughts?
What's your takeaway?
My takeaway, no one is truly the main character in the world, and there are a lot of things that are more powerful and more final than us, but it is something that is good to be cautiously aware of, but not ruled by, as life is still a beautiful gift worth living. My heart goes out to all of the people affected by the horrific things we talked about today.
Yeah.
Even though we're joking around and we're making light, seriously tragic stuff. And happy Halloween, everyone. Investigate Jordan Allen. There is something seriously wrong with his crawl space.
Yeah.
It's been a problem.
Hyper specific. Yep. Just stay away from it.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's boring.
All
Jordan,
right,
any
guys.
takeaways?
Oh, my. Okay.
Trying to change
I was
the
about to
subject,
say
right?
goodbye.
Yep.
Man, I don't know.
Watch
What's
him.
my takeaway? I think you just don't quite know anyone.
Wow, I guess
And
that's
she
it.
looks into the camera.
All right. Well,
That's my takeaway.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Cut there, Christian.
well, happy Halloween and try to get some sleep. Good luck.
Enjoy your life.
Nightmare.